Welcome to part 2 for talking about how to get effects out of Finale into Mongoose. In this session, we're going to talk about how to really take effects that you either create in Finale or have created for shows and bring them into the Mongoose Editor in such a way that they can be fired manually at any time from buttons within Mongoose. So I'm going to get started with the same show we used in part 1, but instead of just pulling it in as part of a show, we're going to isolate these individual effects, name them, and bring them in to Mongoose. Now, I talked about the safety channels and things like that in the last session. Normally, the way Finale's set up now, these safety channels have durations. While they can't be more than a minute, they do have durations. The problem is when you're wanting to completely manually fire something, you have no idea how long a safety channel needs to be on. And therefore, it's really hard to predict anything, especially if you want to have random access to the buttons and act more like a DJ in deciding when to fire, various sequence effects. So one of the first things we need to do is take the safety channels and use the Dmx Editor that's in the most recent versions of Finale and the betas to break it into two parts. Right now there's safety channel, which has a duration. We are going to create safety on, and safety off versions of the safety channel, and then just put them in as individual point effects. The safety on will basically set the safety channel to what it needs and for any of the units in between, and that could go for any length of time. And at the end of the show or whenever, or if there's big pauses that you want to make sure the safety channel's off, you could then turn it off, and we'll attach those to buttons as well for you. So in this case, we have our 9 locations. We have a circle flamer with safety channel. We have several micro flamers, and we have a couple of volcanoes in there, which you could then see on the right. What I'm going to do is create a demo on and demo off version of these. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, find one of the, say, circle flamers, and select this effect in the effects window. And what I'm going to do is copy this effect. Okay, but first a preview. In the end, I'm going to take this one safety channel, which has a duration, and set it to a safety channel on for each type of device and a safety channel off for each type of device. As I show you how to do this, one of the things you'll do is you'll then invoke these or replace these in your script. So first thing I'm going to do is you only have to do this part once for each type of device. So we have a circle flamer, a micro flamer, and a volcano pro. So what I'm going to do is select this effect in the window, which is in the Chauvin window. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go over to the My Effects window and paste it. And it's going to create the effect here. Now I'm going to make this demo on for the circle flamer. Since I already did these, I'm just going to take one through from the beginning. And no, I'm not going to update the effects. I'm just going to create the effects now. And then I'm also going to copy this and create another copy, which is demo off. Okay, so with that one, I'm going to click on it and then go under DMX and say Edit Dmx Effect. And this is a very recent feature, so you have to get onto one of the later betas from an item in the effects window. So this Dmx Effect is a circle flamer, it's on. And you could scroll down here and see that this one's safety channel. Now I'm going to make this be the one that turns it on. So the safety channel right now is going to be set for the duration of effect, and it has to go to a value of 125 in order to turn the unit on. So what I'm going to do is change this up into a forever effect, set the safety channel, and then set it to 125. With the duration one, it would have gone back to 0 after so many seconds. But since we don't know how long we have to keep the safety channel on, we just want to be able to assign a button or an effect that turns it on and leaves it on. And so that one's done. So now I'm going to go back and go to safety channel demo off and do the same thing. I'm going to edit under the DMX. From an item in the effects window. And in this case, what I'll do is, again, set it to forever, but normally a safety channel would start at 125 and go back to 0. But since this is safety channel off, I'm just going to still set it to a forever effect, and the begin value goes to 0. So whenever we select safety channel off, it'll go to 0. Okay, so I showed you how to do it on this one. You have to do the same thing with the other safety channels, like for the microflamer. In this case, I've already created them. And so I'm going to use the demo on, demo off, and I'm not going to go through it for all three. But the notion is that the safety channels on and off can be created for each one, even though in the original script, it was just a duration-based safety channel. So in this case, again, if I go to the effect in the effects window, it has a duration-based safety channel. That's what comes with the Chauvin catalog and comes with Finale. But by using the editor, I could create on and off versions of each of these. And so what I'm going to do now is take these safety channels at the beginning and turn them into their corresponding on versions. So here's for the circle flamer. And I'm going to replace the effect. Well, actually, I'm going to go select it. So I want to make these safety channel on up here. So highlight them to see them first. So then I'm going to make these the circle flamer safety channel on. And I'm going to make it a circle flamer safety channel demo on. And then I'm going to replace this effect with the effect from the... And I'm going to update the duration. And actually, this is a forever effect. So, actually I should have replaced it. Places. And in this case, oh, I know the problem. So in this case, I'm going to update it. I still haven't finished the editing. Edit Dmx Effect from item in show. Edit Dmx Effect from item in effects window. I forgot to set the duration to be 0. So where is the duration on here? That. So that is a 0 duration effect. So I'm going to enter that. No, not yet. And I forgot to do it here as well. And you had to make the duration 0 since it basically just transitions the line and that's it. So now I'm going to do the replace effect. So I'm going to take the demo on up here and replace these effects. And yes, I'm going to change it for the updatable duration. You see the duration goes to 0, and these become effects that will now just turn it on. And you notice the dotted lines disappear here because this just takes effect and turns the safety channel on. So now I'm going to go through the microflamers and do the same thing. and find the micro flamer on up here and replace the effects and update them. And then finally we have the volcano, and update them here with the volcano safety channel on. And I will then replace the effects from the effects window. Yes, and now these are all set to on. One of the things I'm going to do as well is, since now you know, we haven't gotten rid of these other timed ones yet, but since we have created an all on for everything, we could just get rid of these completely out of the show. And then what'll happen is I'll take these out here, and for good measure I'll copy them and just put them somewhere down here after the show, and then replace all the ons with the corresponding offs, just so we have an off. The timing isn't critical because we are going to pull these out and extract them into buttons in a bit. So what I'm going to do is find all these, which are down here, and then I'm going to take the demo ons and take them to the corresponding demo offs. So here we have the demo off, and I'm going to replace the effects. And then I'm going to take the micro flamer and replace it with a micro flamer off. And then finally I'm going to get the volcanoes in this set here and replace them with the volcano off. Okay, so now we took care of actually the hardest part of dealing with this stuff, which is basically taking the time duration safety channels and turning them into independent ons and offs. So now what happens with all this? How do I get these onto buttons? Well, the interesting thing is Mongoose and Finale have an interface between them which uses the track field. So this one's like 4 up, and it does it, you know, twice, I think. So the idea is, I could then select some of these and assign them to tracks. So let's do the safety on. I'll select those and tag them with this set track command to be safety on, and hit enter. Now I'll go get these here and call them, let's say, 4 up. Just something that's will make sense to you once you get it into Mongoose. And so what I'm going to do is edit the track on that. 4 up. Okay, the next one we don't necessarily care about, but I'll just call it 4 up 2 because it's another sequence in here. And just to make sure they're all covered, so it's not too confusing later. And then you could even, and those are all simultaneous, but you even have these sequences, like this is an in to out. So what I'll do is I'll select those and assign it to a track, in to out. You can see what other things are down here. Okay, this is a circle left to right. So I'll select those and set the track to be circle LR. And you could have more complicated sequences, like there's 4 and a volcano. So I'll just call this, you know, for lack of a better word, combo 1 or combo 2. So I'll set the track on this to be combo 1. I'll make this next one, it's a little bit different, combo 2, etc. And then, you know, you have, I'll just make one more here, which is a more complicated one. So in this case, this could be in two effects here. It's a left to right chaser. So I'll take the left ones here and call it set track chase LR for chase left to right, and I'll take the other ones here and make them chase right to left. And, you know, you could go and grab all these sequences, and the nice thing is these sequences could be used to attach a button in the show. So like this, you could export this as a show, but, you know, we could use these tracks to group them together so that they'll create the multi-cues automatically. And it will force them to be in the same sequences that you sort of defined in here with the track. And then they will be part of the show if you leave it in the show. Or you could kind of delete the rest of the show and just assign them to buttons and have no show. So you could assign them to buttons during a show. You could assign them in a show. A lot of that's done automatically anyway. But if you want to have a button for the effect, even while the show is going, that you could fire it at other times in the show, you could attach it to a button. And for some folks who want to just do it completely interactively, you can do a button and not have it in the show at all. And a lot of times folks will create these DMX sequences at the end, like a couple of minutes past the end of their pyro musical. They'll tag them with tracks for incorporation onto buttons, and then they will delete those out of the Mongoose Editor after the end of the show as far as the script side, but it'll leave them behind as buttons. And so the last one I'm going to do here is safety off. So what I'll do is I've got these selected. Set track safety off, which is the ones we said for taking the safety channel off and effectively disarming them. You have to arm the field unit, and for some flame units and some units you have to also set the safety channel. Lights and things don't need that. And so what I'm going to do is export what we have. So export firing system scripts. Oops, we do have to address it. Okay. Addressing takes care of it, and then export. It's going to send it out to Mongoose. And I'm going to just make this be basic show star, fine. And then the Mongoose part will be, has been outputted as demo basic show O2 MIF, which is right here. Okay, so now I'm going to bring up the Mongoose Editor like we did on the last show. And import the MIF file. I'm going to just be assigning them to buttons, but I don't care. And what happens is you'll notice multi-cues have already been created for all the ones I took care of. So safety on, 4 up 2, into out, circle LR combo, etc. And so technically what I can do is say if I only want these to button, so a couple of things happen. Is if I want to keep it as part of the show and make it a button, I can click the button. And would you like to remove the scripted firing of this module at 420? You know, you say no. It says I still want all of these in the show. Now, if you put these after the show and want to pull them in as buttons, you know, you'll remove them either manually or in response to this menu item. But you know, you can do it either way. But just by clicking on this button, it creates a bucket button for these, and technically if you want to give it a different name you can, but this is how they'll be labeled on the buttons. In this case, I have the show, but if I were just doing it to get the effects, I really don't need the show. So I could, basically delete everything. Yeah, we still got to check them all. And it deletes. I don't know if we can do. So again, you could just basically delete all these lines from the show. And most of these just belong to the ones that haven't been incorporated in the tracks. For all the ones that were sucked into tracks, they're all sitting there on the multi-cues. So a little cumbersome, but you could have also removed the extraneous effects in Finale, then you would only have the ones you wanted. But these are all the shots that I didn't use the track on to group them in. So if you assign them all the tracks, you'll get fewer number of things out as well. And if you had a show and you did these at the end, you would only have to pull out the ones after the last shot of your show. And turn them into multi-cues or answer that question that says, yes, I wanted to remove them from the show. And deal with it that way. Almost there. So basically what I'm doing for this particular one is I'm going to do it as a DJ and remove everything from the show. So there are no lines in the script. Okay. And yeah, the delay by itself can stay there. Okay, now, so what I do is I basically have no show, and I have all these buttons. I'm going to attach the individual items to buttons, and then save them. And I'm going to say DMX buttons, FYR. Okay, then I'm going to bring up Mongoose. And no, I'm going to load that show. And you see that really there's no show, but I have all my buttons. And one of the things you could do is also reorder these. So if I wanted sort of safety on to be my first two buttons and safety off, I could take that and move it up. So safety on and safety off are there, and then maybe I want to keep these together. So the rest of them are okay. So what I'll do is I'll just save the show again. Mongoose will ask if you want to reload it. And yes, you have safety on and safety off here with all your individual DMX effects. So at that point, you basically arm the system. I don't have a radio here, so we'll load it. But you arm the system, and then before you want to run any of your DMX effects, you hit safety on. This little light will go off, but DMX buttons are completely retriggerable. So once the safety is on and I'm armed, you know, if I want to shoot 4 straight up, I could just do it there. The duration of it is here with the stop button that comes up here. Like the chase L to R, you know, takes a little bit longer, and I can stop the effect in the middle as well by hitting that button. Chase right to left, but I could go back and forth and really hit this as many times as I want, up to the amount of gas you have. So those are the basics for, say, extracting sequences out of Finale, either built independently or built part of a show. If I didn't remove the show lines, you know, the entire show would still be here. But by clicking on the button and not removing them from the show, I can also make those specific sequences available on buttons. So you could have a show running, and if you decide, hey, I want to pop a 4-up, I could do that. Or if I want to throw in an extra chaser just because it's cool, I could do that, even while the show is running. So this is a short form, and we'll have more later. Okay, hope this helps. Talk to you soon. Thanks.